Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. So, Erykah Badu did an interview with Vulture magazine, and she made some statements about Minister Louis Farrakhan and Adolf Hitler that have generated some discussion, a lot of controversy, and everything. And there have been some recent developments that I also will discuss in this video. I'm going to read some excerpts from this interview, read some excerpts from these other articles, and then I'm going to provide my commentary. But before I do, I just want to address, just the basic premise of the questions. They asked the sister about Minister Louis Farrakhan. And as I said in my video about Barack Obama and Farrakhan, I think there's something wrong with the fact that black people are constantly asked about Minister Louis Farrakhan. Any black person of prominence, they often get these questions about Minister Louis Farrakhan, whether you're a singer or you're a politician or an actor or somebody that's in the press. They present this question. And what they want to do is have these prominent black people attack this brother Farrakhan. So instead of instead of the bourgeois media, corporate media attacking Farrakhan directly, what they want to do is they want to have black figures who are famous, who are prominent and stuff like that, tear down this brother Farrakhan, attack this brother Farrakhan, because they think that that's probably a better and more effective strategy to discredit this brother. And I find it sickening that they do this. And I find it even more sickening that you have black people that will bow down to the media and serve the interests of the media. Because despite my disagreements with Farrakhan, on a wide range of things, despite my theological differences, my political differences, this brother has done great work in our community. He's built institutions in the black community. The Nation of Islam has built institutions. They built schools. You hear people talk about the need for black people to have their own schools. Well, the Nation of Islam built their own schools. The Nation of Islam built their own businesses. You hear people talk about the need for black people to do for self and to have black businesses. Well, the Nation of Islam actually has black businesses. The Nation of Islam has actually done something. They built institutions. Not only have they built institutions, they have built and rebuilt mankind. You had black men who were in gangs, who were selling drugs, who were engaged in a criminal lifestyle, and the Nation of Islam cleaned up a lot of those brothers, got them off the streets, and got them right and exact. So for that reason, I have nothing but respect for the Nation of Islam and Minister Louis Farrakhan, again, despite differences that I have with them. So I just had to get that out of the way. I mean, I just get sickened when I hear these people trying to use black people to condemn this brother. But let's go into this article. So I'm going to read this question that the interviewer provides, and the question is this. Okay, thank you. I know that this may be a weird pivot, but I think it's relevant. When I was doing research for this interview, I came across an article after you had gone to Israel, where the Israeli press was linking you to Farrakhan and his alleged anti-Semitism. It seemed that you were being criticized for defending him rather than denouncing anti-Semitism. I don't know if the reports were accurate, but isn't it valid to criticize the hurtful idea in an instant like that, even if you respect the person who holds that idea? And this is what Erykah Badu said. She said, absolutely, but I never made a statement about Louis Farrakhan, ever. What you're talking about happened in Palestine. At the time, the working title of my album was Saviours Day, which is a holiday for the Nation of Islam, but also my birthday. I had gone to Palestine and journalists asked me, do you believe in Louis Farrakhan? Do you follow him? Sure I do. I'll follow anyone who has positive aspects. He single-handedly changed half of the Nation of Islam to clean eating, clean living, and caring for their families. He has flaws like any man, but I'm not responsible for that. I said I've appreciated what he's done for a lot of black Americans. I mean, I'm not a Muslim, I'm not a Christian, I'm not anything. I'm an observer who can see good things and bad things. If you say something good about someone, people think it means that you have chosen a side, but I do not choose sides. I see all sides simultaneously. And then this person went on to say this. That's not something most of us are good at. And then Erykah Badu said this. She said, we're not, and I'm okay with that. I'm also okay with anything I had to say about Louis Farrakhan, but I am not an anti-Semitic person. I did not even know what anti-Semitic was. I didn't even know what anti-Semitic was before I was called it. I am a humanist. I see good in everybody. I saw something good in Hitler. And then the interviewer said, come again? And she said, yeah, I did. Hitler was a wonderful painter. And then the interviewer said this, no, he wasn't. And even if he was, what would his skill as a painter have to do with any good in him? Then she went on to say, okay, he was a terrible painter, poor thing. He had a terrible childhood. That means that when I'm looking at my daughter Mars, I could imagine her being in someone else's home and being treated so poorly, and what that could spawn. I see things like that. I guess it's just the Pisces in me. And that's all that she said about that issue. And she's come under fire, as reported in this article. The Jerusalem Post, the Anti-Defamation League had something to say about her statements. And I'm just going to read some excerpts from this. So this is what Greenblatt from the Anti-Defamation League had to say. He said, I also like to think that there's good in all people, but Hitler is pure evil. I don't care if he painted or was a vegetarian. Hitler is responsible for the deaths of 6 million Jews in a war that claimed the lives of tens of millions. Shame on you for downplaying that. You're a role model to many, and as such, you should immediately apologize for these irresponsible, misguided comments. And then this person, Greenblatt from Anti-Defamation League, had to say this about Farrakhan. You are ignoring the plain facts about Farrakhan. It is well known that he's he's anti-Semitic and racist. And then they also provided links to some statements that he made in the past. And then the Griot reports that Erykah Badu responded to this controversy. And I'm going to read her response to what people are saying. She said this. She went on Twitter, and this was Thursday, to clarify her remarks. She said, people are in real pain, so I understand why my good intention was misconstrued as bad. In trying to express a point, I used one of the worst examples possible, not to support the cruel actions of an unwell, psychopathic Adolf Hitler, but only to exaggerate a show of compassion. And she went on to say this: either you read the entire Vulture interview and you understood the message of compassion clearly, or you only read the selective, out of context headlines and were drawn into the whirlpool of collective emotional grief. I don't want to force you to understand the way I love. I'm hopeful, though. Okay, so that's what Erykah Badu had to say about this. And so I just want to share my thoughts about this whole thing. Again, I express my views about people constantly asking people about the Nation of Islam. Obviously, I don't think that there was any good in Adolf Hitler. I don't see any good in him, for the reasons cited by the Anti-Defamation League. But I understand Erykah Badu's point. You know, she was just saying that there are positive aspects in anybody. You know, there's something good in any person. You can find something good. And even like the most criminal of people, you know, people that are condemned and stuff like that, they do have a positive element in them. You know, a lot of people have traits like that. You know, something is positive, something is good about them, something that's not evil. That was her basic point. And I think that it's been blown out of proportion. But, you know, I understand the outrage, you know, because Hitler did commit all kinds of atrocities. The Holocaust, you know, World War II wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for Adolf Hitler. So he's an evil man. But I think her point, she just used him as an example. And as she said, I think that that was a poor example. She could have used another example. But I think that this has been blown way out of proportion. And the thing that I have to say is hypocritical. Like these people who want to condemn this sister for making these favorable comments about Adolf Hitler and Farrakhan and stuff like that. These same people, they don't have this kind of attitude when it comes to people that we're actually taught to idolize and respect. You know, we're taught to view like a Christopher Columbus as some great person. They even gave this man a holiday. A man who was responsible for the deaths of all these native people, the indigenous people, but they want to give this man a holiday. And when you point out this stuff, they make it seem as if there is something wrong with you. So they teach us to celebrate criminals, celebrate slave masters. But these same people want to turn around and get mad at this sister for recognizing, you know, a morsel of good in a person that's evil. But yet they want us to celebrate evil people. They want us to celebrate these slave masters who founded, found the United States of America, the so-called founding fathers. These people who were talking about democracy while they were enslaving our ancestors. They want us to celebrate them. You know, they make scholarships after imperialists, you know, naming like the Rhodes Scholar and this and that. They celebrate imperialists. They celebrate slave masters and stuff like that. You see these Confederate statues all around this country, celebrating people that enslaved black people, celebrating people that fought and died to maintain the institution of slavery. But yet, these people want to get on this sister for making an observation that there is good, some morsel of good in every person. So, you know, that's all I have to say about this, man. Tell me what y'all think. Please rate, comment, and subscribe. Peace.